Interesting reflections as I've been thinking about things, as I always do, because I have this overactive mind. Am I the only one? Let me know in the comments. Are you an overthinker? Or does your mind run rampant and always have questions and curiosities? Isn't that the nature of life? To be curious like a child? Because ultimately, there's wisdom and curiosity. And every journey starts with a question. So, what is your question? Because we all started life with curiosity and questions. But how often do we remember where it all began? What was your first inquiry, your curiosity? As a child, what was it that you wanted to seek out, to know more about? Life is curiosity. Without questions, without inquiring, leaning in like a child, we cannot grow, we cannot evolve. It's all about the questions, to have the open dialogue, to be willing to ask even when others aren't, to not be so concerned with rejection when you ask a question, to be abandoned because you just want to understand, you just want to know. That's how you grow. The journey begins with a question in order to be guided in the right direction. You can't start a journey without a question that will move you in your life path's direction. Everything has to start with the curiosity of your heart, moving in alignment with the flow of your soul, letting it be drawn out of you, because everything's within you. Everything you see is inside of you, is inside of me. We are conscious and unconscious, collective collaborators, creating the world as we see it. We cannot deny what's outside of us because that's a part of what's inside. Anytime we reject or dismiss or deny something, it's playing into the trap of duality, choosing this or that, the good or the bad, the yin, the yang, the feminine, the masculine, the true, the false, the bits, the bytes. Boy, life can bite. It's such a travesty that we don't understand those things that we think we want to select because we have been conditioned and planted with seeds of thought, that we are really all just a thought manifested in human form. The biggest travesty we have in this life is that we've been taught not to celebrate at all, to pick and to choose, to poo-poo and deny those aspects that don't feel good. I'm here to tell you, if you're not good at feeling, you will miss out on the most miraculous, beautiful expressions of life. The more you dismiss your pain, the less your pleasure will be. The more you embrace your pain, the more pleasure that will come of it. Because that's how the pendulum swings. When you are imbalanced in one direction, you have to go to the equal opposite direction. That's just the law of energy. Energy is meant to stay in motion. The more willing you are to go in full force and to own your pain, to embrace it, to celebrate it, to recognize without the pain, you wouldn't feel the pleasure. That it's serving you up that lesson of how much you were willing to feel pleasure, how much you were willing to go all in. That the more you go all in, the more all comes out. It's all equality and flow. So the question, how was your journey? How did it begin? Even before we became humans, this thought manifested into form. There had to be a question. There had to be curiosity. I want to go manifest in human form. I want to forget everything and find my way back. I want to create a maze, a game. I want to play. I want to play as a human. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to evolve. I want to create. I want to destroy. I want to experience it all. I wonder what that will feel like. There's a question. And then there's a memory. Every sequence is connection of memories, experiences. Whether experienced in the past, the present, the future, they're collections of memories that create our life. I wonder what that would feel like. I'm willing to be curious. I'm willing to explore. And the question's what begins it all and guides us along our path and gets us excited for the next and the next and the next. Or maybe we back off because something we got attached to. When we're not in constant flow, we're stuck, we're stagnant, we're not letting the energy flow. It's because we're attached to something. We can't let go. And we forget that we're here to reveal and remember that it's all divine and it's all equal, equally relevant, equally amazing, meant to be explored, appreciated. We want to feel because feeling, hold on one second, buddy, he's feeling. So I make him come out here and he's shaky, shaky, shaky. We want to feel. It may not feel good, but when we get good at feeling, that feeling is our intuition. That feeling is our litmus test. It's what guides us in our path, our life. All of our experience comes from feeling. Oh, it feels aligned, it feels good, it feels bad. It navigates us. The more we can lean into what we feel, again, the curiosity like a child. This doesn't feel so good right now. I wonder what I'm attached to. What am I resisting? What am I unable to let go of? Wow, I feel pain. It doesn't feel good. But I just felt pleasure too. There's always a message in the lesson, in the experience, in the feeling. But if you dismiss the feeling before you've gotten the message, it will just come back. Sometimes stronger than ever, sometimes in many forms, because the more we dismiss our pain, the more we dismiss our pleasure. Because when you numb the pain, you numb the joy. Because of duality, they both coexist. It's the imbalances that make them more prevalent and more in our face or in our bodies. The more you're willing to be present to what you feel, the more the world is your oyster, the more it will surprise and delight you with other experiences to have to create memories to navigate you in this life. We have to have feeling. Feeling is a part of this human existence. So it's not about always feeling good, it's about being good at feeling. And using those feelings as your intuitive guidance system, which is what it is for. You have five senses, but you have more than that. The five are the obvious. They're tangible. But you're extrasensory. We are extrasensory humans. And the more we can lean into what we feel in those five senses, tap into our intuition and the spirit, the breath, the more present we are in our physical bodies, which is why we are incarnated in human form, the more we can fine-tune all the other gifts, talents, and abilities that come with this life. We're here to level up. Each time we come here, we are here to improve upon the last time. Each child that is born to the previous generation is there to improve upon that generation. But somewhere along the line, man, we never question this, seem to think that we're here to indoctrinate our children, to wipe their slates clean when they come in with all this wisdom, all this curiosity. They still remember the question. They still remember the connection. And all of us have been children at one time, so maybe you remember this. Reconditioned, repatterned, reprogrammed. We are essentially all machines. We are all computers taking in data that creates our memories and our experiences. First in, first out. FIFO. Being a computer person. But as children, we're taught that what we innately know and what we intuitively understand, we just don't know how to articulate. That really, truly, adults are there to foster and nurture the best way they can communicate what it is they come in with. But instead, as many of us have experienced, we're deprogrammed, we are wiped clean, we are told, don't trust your intuition, we tell you what to think, we tell you how to think. We implant you with the programming, the indoctrination, the social conditioning. But at some point, and we know in our heart and souls, something doesn't align, doesn't feel right. Intuitively, we all know it, we all sense it. But how many of us are willing to question it? I think these are the times many of us are actually speaking up about what we know within, what we question. Question everything. Everything you're told, everything you think you know. Be curious like a child and lean into it. There's always a message, because if you got a question, you got a journey. You have a question, you have a life to live. And it all starts with a question. What is your question? What are you willing to challenge? It's so funny, because when you ask questions, some people get very uncomfortable with other people's questions because it's confrontational. It pokes and provokes. It uncovers old wounds for those individuals. Things they don't want to re-talk about or remember. They just want to forget. We're not here to forget. We're here to gather and remember together, reconnecting, revealing, removing the layers, removing the veil, uncovering our truth. What is inside, not out. Granted, everything around you is a mirror reflection, is some aspect of you. The only way to change that is to go within and to work on what it is that's going on within you. And when I heal me, I contribute to the collective. When you heal you, you contribute to the collective. Again, collective collaboration. When we come together in unity, the more we are in numbers, the more effective, the more powerful we are. If you are isolated, you are one person, you're not as effective. I'm not saying you aren't effective. But that's why we're here, and humans need to be in unity to continue humanity. Because humans in unity equals humanity. Community is coming together in unity. It is about unity. The more we're divided, the more we fall and we fail. The more we're in unity, there's more harmony. It may not feel like it at the moment, but what you find is when you're in groups, especially when you have a common interest, intention, and goal, you're more powerful. Haven't you been in a group that was much more powerful together than it would have been if only one of you were doing all the work? There's an energetic resonance, and it amplifies when people come together. When humans come together for a common goal or cause or whatever, to pray. We know this. Science has proven it finally, but we don't need science to prove anything to us, because if you are in your feels and you know yourself, then you don't need anything to explain to you what you already understand. You already know within. It's a gnosis. It's a deep knowing. None of us need somebody else to tell us our truth or to explain to us who we are. So why are we doing that? That's another good question. Who are you? Who were you before the world got a hold of you and told you what to be and how to behave? See, we're programmed from the moment we're born. We're told everything. And we just blindly follow that. We never question who decided that? Who wrote the rules? I'm sorry to say, but it certainly wasn't God. Not in this world. So man has been playing God for a very long time. And even at a certain point, you have to go, wait a minute here. Something doesn't feel right. Why? Why don't I feel aligned? Why do I feel like something is inhibiting my growth, trying to oppress or suppress what wants to come out of me? You can only deal in a toxic relationship for so long, whether it's a one-on-one or a whole system. And so, yes, we've had a very long, enduring time in this codependent, toxic, narcissistic, sociopathic situation that life eventually has to either implode or explode. It either has to expand or contract, because we are always doing that at every given moment. The inhale, we expand. On the exhale, we expire. we contract. It's a physical. You see it. You feel it. And we are meant to expand and grow and create, not go and be slaves to a system that has rules in place and this is the way it has to be. Suppression of free energy, and you have to buy water. We are the only crazy creatures, species, that are paying to live on this earth. Can we have a dialogue around this? And everybody seems to be going along with it, not questioning it, just throwing the hands up, you know. Well, it's always been that way. It's never going to change. Yeah, whatever. Just deal with it. Go along with it. Go along to get along. Does it feel good? We pay for water. It's a natural resource. There used to be free energy. Technology's been withheld from us. I mean, I work in computers all my life, IT. They deliberately withhold the latest technology. And at this point, we don't know how much of that technology was around back in the day, because history is something that we're told. What history has been passed down from generations comes from orphans. We are the descendants, we are the longest living ancestors of our lineage. That's powerful. So we are the longest living bloodline of our families. That makes us pretty damn special. But yet we are submitting to a system that's oppressive, doesn't want us to know our history, doesn't want to be inclusive, it wants to be exclusive. It wants to inhibit sharing and caring and coming together in unity. It would rather see us separated and divided. It will throw out little morsels for us to pick at and fight over. You see it in the world today. Is that what we really truly want? There's another question. What journey will you embark upon? How can I bring my fellow humans back together in a supportive way, instead of competitive, fighting, creating scenarios to fight over? People that have things you want, so instead of being happy for them, you elevate yourself through putting them down, or this us versus them mentality. We have to get over this stuff. We have to heal from this. The only way forward is to heal our own past pains and traumas. Most of us are just trying to survive, living in the hormones of stress, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, a cortisol, adrenaline, pumped and constantly on the go and fighting to just survive and get by and pay your bills. Electricity should be free. Everybody should have a roof over their head. Nobody should have to pay into a taxation without any form of representation or support. It's gotten down to that at this point. Who represents us? Us. Not one person. One person can't represent every single one of us. That's why communities are so important. That's why the more people that come together for a common goal and purpose and reason, intention, the more effective we are. If you need to create smaller communities that take care of one another, that's where it needs to go. But this whole, oh, we need to take care of everybody but ourselves, this has been an old game in place for so freaking long. I remember when I was a little girl and me and my sisters would sit at the table and my parents used to use the old, you better eat all your food, there are starving kids in Africa. Everybody out there who's old enough to remember, like myself, Sally Struthers out in Africa looking all plump and jolly amongst emaciated children, claiming that she's collecting money. She's trying to get you to donate so that the starving kids in Africa can eat. Jesus said, teach a man to fish. Don't give him the fish. This is the problem in our societies, our cultures, their cults, first off. This idea that somebody's going to convince you that we need to throw money at things. They've been doing that to us for years. Feel guilty. Feel ashamed for what you have and give it away. Don't think of yourself. Always think of others. But who's going to think of you if you don't think of you? Because you've been told it's selfish by selfish individuals, ironically. Nobody ever questions the source of where those unwritten, unspoken, guilt-laden expectations have come from. This is what's been passed down, and not from our ancestors. They have been just as much victimized by this setup as we have. So it's very important to choose your words wisely, because we've also been indoctrinated to speak a language in that it manifests our realities and existences. I refuse to use the word elite upon individuals who are not elite or big anything. There is nobody over us. We are all equal. But there are people out there that would like to have you believe that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough, that you have to prove yourself constantly, because that's one of the things we're taught from the moment we're born. You're born of original sin, and you need to prove yourself at every and any given moment. Here is the outline of your life for the next 18 plus years. You're supposed to obey orders. You're supposed to obey your parents. You're not supposed to have any free thinking, free movement, free expression. Be quiet. Children should be seen and not heard. Remember that one? I do. Do what you're told. Respect your elders. Any others you can think of, write them in the comments. Which of those old patriarchal phrases do you recall that used to set you off, that just make you cringe? Like, money doesn't grow on trees. There's a guilt right there. Nothing comes for free. Nobody does anything for free. No good deed comes without hard work. You should always work hard. The implications of so many things of how you must behave has been programmed into you. And that's what we're trying to do right now, is to deprogram, to unlearn all these lies. It's not who you are. You are a powerful, sovereign, beautiful soul having a human experience. And you came here to be abundant, to live the best life possible. But currently, most people are caught up in distractions, addicted to technologies and social media, news sources. The fear of missing out. Over the past 2 years, we've kind of been forced to rely upon technology. So if you didn't already, now that's all you do, right? And when you rely upon something, now it's almost like your lifeline, right? So when you're on technology 24/7, you don't know how to put it down. That becomes an addiction. And so there comes your dopamine hits. Likes on social media, comments, messages, people who agree with you, people who don't agree with you, looking for an argument, looking for someone to get along with. Dating, oh, don't even get me started on that one. They really screwed up the whole masculine, feminine dating identity stuff too. Because now nobody knows who they are. They're confused about themselves. They really push that envelope so extreme. And a lot of people don't want to have that dialogue or conversation. I have a question. Why does it matter? Why do you have to fit in? I can tell you where a lot of that pain is coming from. Attention. Not feeling important. Sometimes you change your identity because you want attention. Sometimes you do things to get people's attention, like your clothing. You want to stand out. Tattoos for conversation. Sometimes you're doing it with the appearance that you don't want attention, but you do. You want to see who cares enough. It's a test. If someone approaches me and asks me a question, again, what's the question? There's so many manipulative ways we seek to get our needs met. Coping mechanisms, survival skills. You don't think identity politics has anything to do with that? It has everything to do with that. It's just another coping mechanism. We go through phases in life. We're navigating life, how people respond to us, and how that influences how we live our life, how we show up. See, again, we're influenced. We're taught through response and reaction. It's all psychology, people. Doesn't take much. You need to be a people watcher more. Look at yourself, watch yourself, meditate, journal, be curious, ask questions. If you're not willing to ask questions, don't worry, you'll be told. At least if you ask the question, you at least have some control over responses and reactions. If you don't ask questions and you're just told, that's part of the influence. That's part of the mind control. That's part of the system of enslavement. Be more willing to ask the questions than to be told without a question. So when we talk about all of these different phases and phrases and things that we're identifying with and doing, from the moment we're children, we're looking for the responses and reactions of others, and that helps shape and form who we become. If people around us are getting attention in a certain way and we feel we're being neglected in any way, we will adopt the behavior of other people to get our needs met. Doesn't anybody remember this stuff when you were a child? I do. I remember watching people behave a certain way and I'm like, I'm going to go and try that. Great example. I wanted to see what it would be like to slap someone's face. I didn't want to hurt someone, but something about witnessing someone doing it made me curious what that would feel like to do it. So when I was asked why I did it, I didn't have a real answer. I was curious. And I didn't know how to answer, why did you do that? Because I felt like it. That was pretty much my answer. Because we do things out of curiosity again. What's the question? And I had many questions growing up. Wow, that person over there is getting attention. If I act like that person, maybe I'll get the same attention and affection. How many of you remember doing that? There was always a question leading up to your actions. It was navigating you in the journey of your life. And so once again, I go back to from our childhood. You see, you observe, you soak it up. And with curiosity, you ask the question. Whatever the question is, guides your journey. What will that feel like if I try what I just witnessed? What will happen if I touch this hot stove? What will happen if? Those are all questions navigating you on your journey of life. Don't be afraid of questions. Be afraid of not asking questions. Be afraid of not engaging in your life. You must be a willing participant. And without you taking the first step and making, whether you realize it or not, there's always a question that precedes your action. It's subtle sometimes, and sometimes it's just, wow. There's no doubt about it. So I know there are many questions because life is full of them. That's what that allows us to be creative, to be manifestors, to be influencers. We also influence people through our behavior. We are implanted with ideas and thoughts and beliefs, and they are just as easily malleable and changeable if we're willing to ask questions, if we're willing to confront them, to inquire and be curious like a child. So tonight I'm just asking you, what is your question? Can you be present enough in your daily activities, your routines? Can you even dive back further into your past and check into, I wonder what that was about. I'm curious like a child. What is my question? What is my answer? Because when you ask the question, you also have the answer. The irony is that most people think the answers are outside of themselves. If you ask the question, you have the answer too. And that's my message for you tonight. Anytime you ask a question, you have the answer to. Never doubt that, and definitely don't dismiss it. You're more powerful than you realize. Don't ever stop asking questions. Don't ever stop being curious like a child. That's how they got us to begin with. The more you break the spirit of a child, the easier they are to manipulate and control. The reason why some of us are so awake is because we still have that burning flame of curiosity within us, and that we never allowed or let them break our spirit. But that doesn't mean there is a lack of spirit in those who don't remember. There just needs to be a willingness to ask the questions. No matter how hard the questions, it's the hard questions that lead us back to ourselves. It's the hard questions that allow you to grow the most and evolve, to level up. Questions are liberation too. They lead you to your freedom, and all of that's within you. So never be afraid of your questions or your curiosity, because you are more powerful than you'll ever know until you ask your questions. So dive deep, reflect, don't forget, remember. Reveal your truth through your curiosity, asking your questions, and then every time you get an opportunity to remember with another in unity, join communities, join your fellow humans. Don't be afraid. We've been walking this earth plenty of years and generations and lineages. And once again, you are the longest, oldest surviving relative of your lineage, of your family bloodline. Don't dismiss that, and don't assume that something is going to take you out. Anything could happen at any moment. Live your life like each day is your last. And don't live in fear, because fear is a liar. Fear doesn't ask you questions, but fear's in your face, and have the courage to face that fear and confront it and ask the questions, because the answers are right there with you, baby. I love you. Get sweet dreams, and don't forget, your answers are within. Much love and blessings and sweet dreams.